Hello everybody, thanks for joining us on this. We've never done a video like this before that's been recorded and not live streamed. We were due to do a live stream before this was recorded, but my internet company dicked me about. I'm not taking any responsibility for it, so Lorne doesn't, so why should fucking I? So we're just going to do an hour-long video going over the chat log because, yeah, so why not is what I say. So, guys, thanks for joining me and putting up with my bullshit for the last 35 minutes. I do appreciate
bullshit. Stupid bullshit.
It's been a pleasure.
This is great because now we get to concentrate on you and us. And us. We don't have to read the chat.
Yeah. This is a good place to start. So we're as we mentioned before, we're 3 days in, yeah, on the chat.
Yeah.
We're only on we're on the third day. It started on the 17th. So we have the 17th, the 18th, and now we're in the latter stages of the 19th. So we're 15 videos in, and yeah, 3 days.
This is late at night. Okay, so we're almost done with the 19th then.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they had a conversation. I don't remember going over it, but it was a long conversation on the 19th. Did we actually stop here?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Good night, my friends. Let's dive in.
It's also repetitive. It's hard to even tell exactly where we left off.
It is. It feels like we're doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
But there'll be other things injected in there that are a little different.
Can't we start at 57 seconds instead of 54, 57 instead of, 55, 35?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, we probably could.
No, it's too difficult, actually, and I refuse to comply with that request.
It's just too. There we go. Oh, that is beautiful. What is that?
You love that bit.
This was part of our top 13, right?
Actually,
oh
yeah.
No, there's no light involved.
You got the light one. He was going to buy light with his credit card, his $300 credit card,
right,
so that they could shine it on it. But do you think, his obsession with her looking at it, do you think he gets something out of it?
All you want.
Is it a conceited plan of his, or to groom her, to program her brain so that she's permanently walking around with an image of Lorne's cock in her head? What do you think?
Yes.
I think he definitely gets something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think
he loves it.
He's like an exhibitionist.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's got to read the line. Somebody's got to read the line.
Hang on a second.
I know, dude, chill.
Jeez. You know what that was?
Interruption.
That was a interruption.
Oh, yeah.
He's really
we're going to have a sound alert every time he does that, like the band going past or an elephant.
Right. Now I forgot what we were talking about.
I'm sorry. I feel horrible.
I knew that was going to happen.
See, they're not just random interruptions. They actually derail us completely.
Well, we're talking about this, and I thought we'd at least start off with the foundation of the line itself, right?
Well, no, but we were
Why don't you read it?
I think Lorne. Well, hang on a second.
I'm too shy.
I was talking
Oh,
to
but
Shin.
You were saying you were talking about how Lorne is an exhibitionist.
Yeah, I think that he is.
Uh-huh.
Because he's nude all the time. He's constantly taking photos, and he thinks that whoever his girlfriend is going to want to see photos of it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
in whatever condition it happens to be.
That was one of my top moments, was when Lorne filmed himself in the shower and said, "Well, I'd really like to give you the whole picture, but you was up all night talking to some other guy." So it's like a punishment.
Right, it is.
It's a punishment that she doesn't get to see it.
All
and
night
he's going to
long.
hold that over her. He
Right.
said that like 5 times. All night long.
Yeah, but
all fucking night.
Doesn't an exhibitionist do it for his own gratification rather than thinking that the other person would want to see it?
Yeah,
And
but I think he is getting. I understand
well,
what you're
he's got that
saying.
too, but a regular exhibitionist doesn't think that the other person wants to see it.
True, that is true.
And as a matter of fact, it's that shock that makes it exciting for him, right?
Perhaps.
So I'm thinking, Lorne's got it. He actually that's the funny part of it. He thinks that looking at his dick, you will immediately, melt, fall in love with him.
Right.
That's what's funny about this. The other exhibition, he's getting off on it for sure, but he actually thinks that the other person really enjoys it. I mean, that's so far out there. It almost describes exactly who he is.
Mhm.
Does he think that, or does he just not really care if she likes it or not? Because
I think,
well, with Kayla,
he does it.
I recall something he wrote or said where he said that you would just have an orgasm, or maybe it was one of his catfish, by just looking at his dick. I mean,
I
that's
don't remember that.
Do you remember that?
I don't specifically, but that does sound like something he would say. So I absolutely believe it.
What about
Yeah.
like a lot of blokes, like, or guys, they expose themselves, right? I've never fully understood what people get out of it, right? But like the flashes and people expose themselves.
Right.
They obviously get something out of that. Lorne gets something out of exposing himself in this way. So does he possess similar traits to that? I mean, I believe, have you girls ever like had unsolicited dick pics sent to you? Like, I believe it happens quite a bit, as I understand it. I don't quite understand it, really. It's weird.
I don't understand it either.
Because with women are more naturally, I think they're more designed to be, how can I put it? Not sure. Like,
non-visual.
It's more of like women are more attracted. Women are less superficial than men. Women are more attracted to the personality and their all-round package, whereas men are quite straightforward and we're designed to sort of see the imagery and all that kind of stuff. I can't articulate it that well, but I think you know what I'm getting at. So it's natural to women to the pouting and the the selfies and all that. Even though men do get something out of it, if you've ever seen Shin's Facebook profile, but it's not as prevalent and it's not as massively because we all like, as humans, we all like attention, or most of us do. We like positive attention, and we're engineered that way because it goes back to when we were hunter-gatherers and in social groups, and it was healthy to be seen, popular to survive. You'd be a bit more, it's all survival when you get down to it. But like with Lorne, he must possess some of these traits of. I think that's what it is with him. It's perverted. It's funny, but it's over the top. His insistent on just look at that, right? It's a great thing to. I'm glad you went back, actually, Shin. I know we make fun of you, but it is a good one to go back to. Put the cam on so you can look at it all you want. If he had his way, she'd be permanently sat there looking at it all day. And then when he came home from work, she'd be going, "Oh, I stared at Mr. Penis all day, and I've been experimenting." That would be Lorne's dream, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
It is so bizarre. It's so hard to understand. And I know I say this all the time, but he must see something so different than what we see when he looks at himself, because that his penis is completely unimpressive, unattractive.
That's a very polite way of putting it.
I mean, most are. A penis isn't a beautiful thing. I mean, I don't think it is.
Mine is.
I don't really want to look at it. I'm sure it is. But I don't want to see a picture. I can't imagine ever getting a picture of a penis and being like, wow, I wish I could put that on my wall. That's beautiful. So he at least have something to show off if you're going to show it off. And Lorne does not have something to show off. It's horrible, actually. It's truly repulsive and horrible. In his eyes, it must be something precious, I guess.
To me,
I think he figures that is what a woman wants. A woman wants to have sex. And
Right.
so he's going to show her what he has, and she's going to like it.
Right.
Mm.
Right. And to me, the last three letters says it all. All you want. That means that that implies that they want to. That they're dying to. And you got to remember, in the beginning part of this chat log, he was talking about her looking at his dick as some kind of a form of cure for something that was ailing her. Do you feel better about it now? Things like so.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this overwhelming desire to see a penis. So Andrew, it's kind of what you said, where women don't see visually, as men do, or don't react visually as men do. Well, Lorne thinks that women do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree with that.
that is probably what this all means to me. I mean, I'm trying to put my finger on it. He doesn't understand women, even though we're the same species and everything else. There are certain things that he has this weird idea about, that they share the same, I don't know, things that the things that are attractive to men and women. Men and women are totally different. He doesn't see that.
No, but most men don't, though. That's not exclusive to Lorne, and you girls have just confirmed it by saying, you've got... I mean, obviously you can't confirm it for the entire species, but I don't think there's many women out there that don't get random dick pics off guys. It's bizarre. I was
Wait
gonna,
a minute. Did you say you don't think that many do? Is that what you said? I didn't quite hear you.
Lots of dudes send dick pics to women,
Yeah.
even when they don't want them. So yeah, I think Andrew's saying that's not unique to Lorne to think that women want to see pictures of
Oh,
their
yes,
dicks.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, whatever that mindset is when somebody sends an unsolicited dick pic, it could very well be the same as Lorne in believing that the person wants to see it, and now they get to see it all they want.
Well, I think
Yeah.
too that the photo is really the only thing that he can give her at that point, or any guy who's going to be sending that, like, hey, look
Mhm.
at what you could be getting right now. Why don't you imagine that?
Yeah, but there's a
not.
distinct. Yeah, but usually a guy who does it, other than Lorne, there would be a chance he would be seeing that woman.
True.
He just does it almost as an end game. At least with his catfish, not with Kayla, because he was going to see her. He always meant to go there.
That's another really funny thing, though. Kayla is a child. She's a little tiny girl.
Yeah, we've
So
kind
for
of
her-
forgot
for
that
him to
element,
think-
haven't we, when we've been talking about this? The most important bit.
Right.
Well, whereas an adult woman might, they don't, but I guess there's a slim chance that an adult woman might want to look at Lorne's penis, or at least in his mind. The fact that he thought that a little girl wanted to look at his dick all day on camera is remarkable.
Or he was grooming her to wanting to do it. He feel like he was formulating this person, as having that kind of thing that turns her on now. He's got her at her formative years now. So I don't know.
Right. She's going to be curious about it now.
Yeah. Now he's gonna like keep encouraging it, and form the person that he wants. Somebody who's just dying to see a penis, any penis.
Dying to see his penis.
Yeah. Well,
he wants it to be about him. He doesn't want it to be for somebody else.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it like you say, we've talked about it's not unusual for guys. It's a bit obsessive for him. But there's another element that makes it interesting. Even if we was only going to look at is showing these pictures and you can stare at it all day, it would be unusual in a normal relationship, in a normal dating aspect. But we're talking about a girl that's probably never... The way that Kayla talks, she's probably never seen an adult erect penis. And he wants to invite her to that kind of imagery.
mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
as well as getting her to do the experimenting, which we'll talk about in a minute. I've got a feeling we're only going to do this one page, but that we're talking about the two main grooming elements, I would suggest, of the whole chatlog is the imagery that he wants. And don't forget the imagery is a big deal because it's a separate offence. I don't think there's actually an offence that covers him getting her to do her experiment in Woodishin. There's no separate offence.
Yeah,
but what would that be?
There's solicitation.
No, but that's contained within the basis of the chatlog anyway, isn't it?
Minor. Yeah, I mean, beyond free speech rights and things like that, there are certain limitations. But it's just like, put the cam on it this week. He's got it all during the day, so he's got his lighting figure out. I mean, he's just so much, like I said, in most of his sentences, just packed in. What does he do? Just sit there and just have the cameras pointed at his dick, and then for hours
while he's talking, just rambling nonsense, typing with her. That's what's weird in a normal adult relationship. If you have you'd think he would have the cam on his face and not his gross penis.
Well, he did. I think he did actually most of the time. I don't think it was put on there. Speaking of Jim Roush, I think that's what he did. I think it was just sitting there. I believe that it was just sitting there. Yeah, you interested? For Lorne, I believe that he did have it because then he would say, "Would you like to see it again?" And then he would point it down. And then, of course, you have.
But when he stand up, what would he do?
He would stand. Well, he would stand up. Yeah, show his bat, and when he was going to get coffee, and all of that. So. Oh
no, you're right. He had a dick pic when he's sitting in the chair. That's where he had it pointed. Okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
I don't want to, but yeah.
I know.
That's.
But he did. Now, just to make another point with what Andrew said, if you don't remember that she did see nude photos in the past. I think there was a mention of a magazine. That she saw. Yep. So he wasn't the first one. So it didn't turn into the Vincent Ambrosio. I believe that he wanted to be the first one that she saw, or Dustin. I can't remember. But for him, it was she had seen it before, but obviously didn't have a lot of experience.
Interesting. So we go right on to straight after, as I've mentioned already, straight after, put the cam on, stare at it all day, experiment for me a couple of times when you're in bed. So it's interesting. Good night, precious. Experiment for me when you're in bed a couple times. So it's not like to say it a couple of times means he's serious about it. To do it on its own isn't enough. He needs to emphasise the point. I think that's, and you touched upon that, Amanda James, because that stood out to you when you read the line a little bit ago, didn't it?
Well, it didn't make sense to me at first, but now I'm realizing that when he says experiment, he means a very specific action. He wants her to do something very specific. And I'm not going to say it because it's yucky, and I'm not going to. But you can probably figure it out.
It doesn't seem right to even utter the words in this context, does it? I have trouble saying some of the things that are in here. I'm glad it's not just me.
He couldn't even do it.
Yeah,
right. Which is
that's actually a very good point, Shin. That's a great point. He can't even say. So, do we believe that he says experiment because he has a hard time saying it? Is it some kind of guilty conscience coming over, or is he trying to dumb it down for her?
I think he's afraid to. Perhaps he's afraid to be vulgar. He can't even say penis or dick or whatever he would normally say to an adult. He has to say it in this way because he's afraid of scaring her, I think.
I totally agree. Yeah. This is a softer way.
So do you think that's all it is? Do you simply think he doesn't want to scare her? There's no... It's like a battle...
No, I think it's part of his... I think he's appealing to authority here. I think when he says experiment, I think he's looking at this thing as an educational thing, and he's a teacher. And that fits within that role, that word, and masturbate is going right to the right to the heart of the matter, you know, and who knows if she utters that word, you know.
I agree with that. I think, because don't
Yeah.
forget, when he first talked about it, and we went over it in the chat log about fucking 10 videos ago, was that he said, I'm going to teach you, do this is what you need to do. And he was putting it in a way which was teacher-like, wasn't it? Which is a very, very common trait when it comes to these predators. You see it time and time again in To Catch a Predator, is the I love teaching you, it's so fun, you know, all that kind of stuff. They kind of get off on it, don't they? It's this control element, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's a science teacher now. You know,
he framed it. Yeah, he framed it in such a way. I remember he specifically said, if you want to know what it feels like to have sex, this is what you need to do to find out what it feels like. So he's giving her these instructions because she's curious about what it will feel like. So it's not for his own benefit necessarily, or I mean, we know it is, but he's framing it in such a way that it's not for his own benefit. He wants her to do it so she'll know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's weird. I keep looking down for the comments.
I know, I'm doing the same. I keep looking at my phone. It's like, oh yeah, we're not live, are we? It's weird.
It is weird.
So, I mean, I think it's really. I could do a whole video just on this and the experiment thing. Even, I think that. What is he trying to get out of her? What is his whole goal of her doing that? Now, there's lots of different elements that he won't even be aware of. We could grill him for hours.
Yeah, I mean, his goal is to get her to do everything he says, and to get her to trust him to do that. And
he wants her to tell him about it.
Yeah. And he personalizes this request for me, experiment for me, when you're in bed a couple of times. So this is all part of his brainwashing.
It is, and also it's leading up to something, because he had said, I think previously, experimenting on the phone.
Oh yeah, which is interesting, because again, Andrew, I know you hate to bring this up. He had brought up how, actually with you, it's okay to talk about Tiffany calls with him, right?
You can talk about any calls. I just don't know any of them. That's all.
No, I don't want to. Where he said that her voice fucked him up, you know, on that discussion you had with him, Tiffany, where he said, you know, you said, well, when you talked to her, how did that? You know, he goes, oh, that fucked me up too. She sounded like she was 9. You know, I started to think about that. Well, in the chat log a little later on, you know, he writes that he wants her to have phone sex with her.
Right.
This is after he had talked to her on the phone. So, because he said next time. So, you know, that's one of the most fascinating things about him. All of the answers to our questions are here. They're answerable. The only person who's not answering them truthfully is him. It's right here. Everything he says
That's what makes it interesting, I suppose, Shin, isn't it? You've just hit the nail on the head. Because if you think about it, let's just say he had this conversation with Tiffany and everything came out, the truth. This wouldn't be as interesting anymore, would it?
No.
Oh, if he just admitted to Tiffany that he was a filthy pervert who was trying to...
Yeah, the truth. Everything that
we're... a little kid.
Everything that we're trying to get... everything that we're trying to get to the truth of the matter of now. We're trying to get into his head.
When will you forgive him? Amanda. He's done his time, Amanda.
She's always having to go at him. It's like, I'm going to have to ban you from future videos and streams, Amanda James, because, you know...
Am I too mean?
Lorne doesn't have a chance with you. Jeez.
And that's Tiffany talking.
That is your talent. We love you.
I know.
I know.
Amanda James is brutal.
He doesn't have a friend in the world, that guy, Amanda James. You just remember that. Even his own mom doesn't like him.
No, I don't blame her.
But if you think about it, pervert is
let's not gloss over that Amanda James called herself Amanda James. I mean, you know, she didn't call herself Lorne's friend, did she?
Dead end.
No. That's true, I did not.
But if you think about it, there was a phone call where Sam was on the phone with him, And what Lorne was doing is, I need to figure out why I did it. I need to figure out. Sam goes, I can help you with that because you're a fucking pervert. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the
Well, that's
answer to everything.
It is.
Yeah,
Sorry.
and that's one of the reasons we hate him, or one of the reasons I hate him so much, or something that keeps my interest is that he fights so hard to deny the obvious. And he'll come up with the most ridiculous things, like the macaroni and cheese and the meatballs, and like, that's why I did it, because my family didn't give me my meatballs. Instead of just facing the truth, he'll work so hard to find some other reason. Even in all his conversations with
his
Tiffany.
truth, though, Amanda James. I know this sounds mental, but from Lorne's perspective and the way that he operates, that is his truth. I believe that when he made that video, he really believed that. He really believed, according to his truth and his parable, that it was his siblings' fault that he got into that chat log and tried to do all this. So them words, the experiment for me, that is due to him not getting meatballs. In Lorne's reality. That's the total bewilderment of the situation is, that's the way that Lorne sees things. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Absolutely. And again,
do,
sorry.
But I also disagree at the same time, because he wants you to believe that.
Right.
That's what's important for him. It's like, I remember speaking to him about him driving to the house, and he starts to talk about the thunder. He starts to talk about how I wanted to go there and make sure that no one was there hurting her. Yep. And as he's saying it, he's not believing it, but he wants you to believe it. That's the most important thing. That's why Casey was important to Lorne, because that is the ultimate vindication for him. Somebody who was at the show, witnessed perverted justice, witnessed Dateline, saw that he wasn't this pervert that Amanda James thinks he is, and was going to see something about him that was totally different. She's able to past it, and he holds on to that. That's why he went up on the stand in his hearing and started to cry about something completely irrelevant. Mm-hmm. He just needs you to believe in him. I think that he does play the blame game constantly.
No.
He is constantly deflecting away from him. That's his defense mechanism. But he knows the truth. The truth isn't that his brothers and his sisters screwed him over, and that's why he believes that hurt him. But he knows that he is this guy in here in the chat log. That is him. That is his deviant mind at work. Yeah. And he's trying to change it. And the thing that pisses him off the most, and we've heard him say this, is that they made it nationwide, that they broadcasted it. He didn't have to be on that show. He didn't have to be exposed. He only had an OUI. This right here, that's why the chat log is so fascinating. That's why the phone calls are so fascinating, because you're seeing Lorne as Lorne.
There's not one innocent sentence in the whole thing.
There isn't. All that he cares about is what you think. He cared about getting caught. That was his number one.
Yeah.
I agree completely. He knows the truth. The truth is the truth, and the truth is what he did is inexcusable. There's I don't care how many sob stories you have of your family mistreating you or using you, or I felt so neglected and alone, nobody loved me. It doesn't matter. No amount of mistreatment can ever excuse.
You're both right, but I also believe that he's told himself these lies in his mind so often that he believes it. So there is a level of awareness. He's not completely insane. He's not completely insane. There is obviously a level of awareness. People, what's insane and sane is not clearly defined in culture or science or whatever, but you would say that someone like, if Lorne 100% unequivocally believed that he was innocent, he knows he's not, but the only way he can get by, really, and live this bullshit fucking life that is just this illusion, is to convince himself that them lies are real. And I think that from his perspective, he he's like, because you got to remember when he did the Lorne reality show and all that, and he was on YouTube arguing with people. It really is remarkable that someone in that position will go on YouTube. You know, it reminded me of like when I was. You see people. We talk about it every now and again, don't we, Tiffany? How you see people on Facebook and they argue about ridiculous things like football teams,
Star Wars.
Shut up. Don't. But fancy being a sex offender, right? And doing what he did and going on YouTube arguing with people trying to defend your position. Because that's what he fucking did.
Yeah.
You can't compute.
Well, guys, if you want to put your thumb on what is really funny about that, is the idea that he thought we would accept it, or anyone would accept it.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
And the confidence he had in that we would accept it. That's where the humor is. That's where the magic is. I mean, talk about somebody who can't read a room or doesn't have any situational awareness or anything like that. He is just so dense. Talking about, you know, he basically his attitude at that point. Now you guys don't understand it now, so you know, back off.
He had people lying to him, telling him that they did buy it and that they did understand it. But his family, I'm sure, they didn't say, "No, Lorne, fuck you. You didn't go there because you didn't get meatballs. You went there because you wanted to do something terrible because you're a pervert." His mother didn't say that to him. His siblings didn't, the ones that talked to him, they didn't say that to him. They were just like, "Yeah, Lorne, we know you wouldn't have done it," because they're his family. And so, you know, and
I'd love to hear from those people.
I'm sure they just didn't want to deal with his shit, you know, so they're just like, sure, whatever you say. But he also, the people he was talking to that were his friends that had contacted him from the internet were saying, you know, we understand, and telling him that he had people supporting him and people pretending to support him.
Were those real? Oh, okay. All right. Those are trolls.
People supporting him? I hope they were trolls. I can't imagine anyone really.
I think there was the odd person that came on, and I genuinely believe this, who were like, you know what, Lorne, you've done your time. Fair play for you to trying to do better. And there was an element, I fell for it a couple of times when he made a video and he'd do his singing and whatever, and I thought, well, is he trying to better himself? As long as the kind of the regret is there. Because it's like we said, if he decided to pay Betty back and said, you know what, I did a terrible thing, I'm doing counselling, I'm doing my rape class, I'm doing this, there'd be a group of people that would support him, wouldn't there?
Him having a channel at all shows that he had no like remorse or regret for what he did. He wanted to blame everybody else.
So what does that say about him believing he did the wrong thing? You know what you was talking about earlier when I said that I believe that it's his truth is that he was, you know, taken advantage of. How much does that affect his decision? Like you say, the fact that he has no remorse, does in his head, does he believe that he's done nothing wrong? Hence why he did that. Because like you say, Lorne's not insane in the strictest term as we understand it. So he knows. It is shocking to me. I can't quite process it. It is remarkable.
Yeah, we've talked about this before. He knows that what he did is wrong in other people's eyes. He knows it's against the law and it's immoral, but I don't think he truly thinks that he did anything quite so bad. He even said it in his lawsuit. Talking to a little girl is not such a bad thing. He never even got to actually go through with the physical act of abusing a child. So in his head, I think that's what sets him apart from the other people in his class and from the other guys on the show. And that's what he said too. Those guys on the show, they had been in trouble for doing stuff like that before, which isn't true necessarily. Several of them, you know, that was their first time getting in trouble too. But yeah, like I said, he knows it's wrong in the eyes of society, at least. So it doesn't really matter how he personally feels about it. And because there was no real victim in this case. It was
that's
a
a big
decoy.
deal. I don't think he allows himself to go in his mind mentally. I think he's got the intelligence to realise the effect it could have on someone, but I don't think he allows himself to fully appreciate what he could have done and the type of person he is, because that would shatter this bizarre character that he's created in his mind to protect him from responsibility, if you get me.
I don't know. I think if he understands the messages that he's sending out, which, like the mac and cheese, or the family abused me and people used me. What he's saying is, if he understands this stuff, he could actually pass rape class. if he says, if they say, what do you need? The big question, we talked about this before. What do you think you need? What tools do you need, whatever, to not offend or be tempted to offend? The only thing you could surmise from his message from that is, don't take advantage of me and I won't rape children. That's essentially what he's telling his rape class.
That's
a threat and a half, isn't it?
When he says, I figured it out, my therapist, my counselor, my probation officer, we finally figured it all out. Yeah. The problem is I couldn't say no, and I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah. So
I'm a people pleaser. So how fucking ridiculous. Isn't that the stupidest thing you've ever heard?
I'm a children pleaser, is what he's saying.
Yeah, if he would have, even when he went to his hearing last time, Judge Woodcock told him a lot of great advice. A lot. He spelled everything out to him. Lorne, you're not going to win here. You're just not going to. So stop trying and go on with your life. Period. And he can't do that. He cannot admit what he did. Having him tell the story of what he did, his actual crime, is so diluted, and it's pushed off in the other direction of, they were trolling me, they shouldn't have been there, they were making money, and they were asking me to come. I was a vulnerable person, basically. Is what it comes down to. Yeah. And
everybody's making money off him.
He's just not able to. That's why he is going to be in this class forever, and I'm glad he's going to be. I'm glad that he's going to be inconvenienced forever, and he has to be humiliated forever, especially when it comes to him getting a job and having to explain to them, I can't come in on such and such a day because I have this class I have to go to.
Well, he'd have to disclose that anyway.
No, absolutely.
Any job he gets. But,
I think it's great that he has to do that.
Yeah,
but
of course,
they could terminate his. Sorry.
No, go on, dude. You started first.
I was going to say, at some point in the future, and it's really not unforeseeable. Well, in his case, it could be. They will terminate probation, or at least supervised probation. They'll keep him on lifetime probation, but it might not be supervised. So, but that could be 10 years from now. That could be 15 years from now. My hope is that he's so old and frail by the time they do it.
That's what I was thinking too. He just has to really be an old man.
He's on his way to
being registry.
Yeah.
He'll be on the registry for life, though, right?
Well, that's for life. Yeah.
Okay.
That's for life.
But I think that I think that we get one picture of how probation sees him based on what Lorne says, what he has said before documents were available and before the court hearing as well.
Yeah.
You think, a lot of people had this idea that probation just sits on their ass and they don't do anything.
No. This is a very, very difficult case for them. Very difficult.
Sure, and they had to go through a lot of steps in order to get him time in prison. Yep. It certainly couldn't have been the first time he makes a mistake or a violation, and then they present him to the judge. Okay, lock him away. That probably wouldn't have worked.
Well, they were also in a position of not only protecting society but protecting him. They almost had to do that.
Right.
So when they do that, they're going to give him a little more slack. But going back to Judge Woodcock, what you said earlier about how he laid down everything so nicely, which he did, I can't help but believe that Judge Woodcock did his homework too.
I'm sure that he did. I'm sure that he did. And also when it comes to him getting off of probation, that sticking point is the class, and he can't get out of it because he can't answer the questions honestly and clearly, and even describe his crime. He's not able to. He can't be fully transparent and admit 100% of the responsibility. He's not capable of doing that. So his ass is going to be going there time and time again. Different providers.
It is funny.
They're going to say, hey, Lorne,
dude's been here for 20 years.
He's been here for 20 years. And people just
the comedy potential is just unrivaled.
Oh my
Well, from the very beginning, he can't even admit that he first said hello to Kayla with bad intentions. He cannot admit that. It was because nobody else was talking to her.
Yeah.
And she never fucking said that nobody else would talk to her. She never said it. He just made that up in his head.
Go invisible. He was trying to make her not talk to anyone else.
Yeah.
Right. And to scare her away from talking to anybody else because, they might come and rape and kill her.
And by the way, it had to be a girl, not a boy. So, fuck that reason. Tiffany threw that off the table.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. It's like, knocking down dominoes with him. You got to keep, that excuse is gone. And then he'll come out with something totally new. But
then he backpedals, which we've all seen. He'll, like you said, Shin, when Tiffany said, okay, if it was a 13-year-old boy, would you talk to him? And Lorne admitted, no, I wouldn't. And she said, why is that? And he said, because it's a boy.
And then she literally said that goes out the window. Then that bullshit about.
It was funny listening to the change of his voice as well. He went, no, like a little boy who'd just been told off.
Right, he's got his chin down, just like how Amanda did it. He's got his pouty face and his chin's down. Yeah,
mumbly little bitch.
Wow,
there she is again.
Dirty pervert.
Yeah.
What has he done to deserve all this hate? I just don't get it.
We got to let out the poison now and then, Andrew. We got to.
Wow.
Well, especially listening to Tiffany's conversations with him, they're so frustrating because he'll give in and he'll admit, yes, I wouldn't have talked to the child if it was a boy. And she said, well, why is that? Because it was a boy. Instead of saying, because I'm not attracted to little boys and I am attracted to little girls. That's the answer.
Well, that's what she was trying to get at. I mean, you're attracted.
Right.
Are you attracted to little girls? Well, in that situation, you were. So, how do you get around that? You try to get around that. You try to do that also with in another situation. She pinned him down pretty good with. I can't remember what it was. Oh, the issue about hearing about police reports of children who were abused.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, I listened to that again. You thought there was leading questions on that. There weren't. He expanded greatly. It wasn't just yes or no.
Right, I'll have to listen to that.
So
again
you should listen to that.
That's not how I remembered it. I'll give it a listen again. But getting back to those calls, when you was talking about Amanda James, how frustrating it was. There was a couple of the I'm a Predator calls. If I remember, despite all the hard work that seemed to have been getting through to him, didn't he say something ridiculous at the end of the I'm a Predator call? I know at the end of the pedophile one, it was like, I know how to say no now, which was just fucking ridiculous. I mean, it's just baffling.
Yeah, I couldn't say no.
Yeah, do you know what's remarkable about that is how he turns that into the fact that it's because he's a nice guy. It just...
Yes.
There's got to be nobody else on the planet who's actually done that, surely.
Yeah, he's heroic. That's I was only talking to her because she said no one else would talk to her and I was just being a good guy. Fuck you. He turns everything into that scenario where he's the good guy. He has the best intentions and he just gets led astray. Didn't he say something like that in court? He said, I try to do the right thing, but it sometimes ends up being the wrong thing.
Amanda should do the reading of that.
Do you know what I want to happen? I want Amanda James to go on a date with Lorne, right? If you had
Okay.
if you had to do that, Amanda James, if you had to go on a date with Lorne by, let's just say, there was £1 million and someone was offering to give either yourself £1 million or save a load of fucking people in need and donate £1 million to a village that was destitute, and you had to go on this date with Lorne.
Her child was kidnapped.
Yeah,
that's what it would take. Her child was
something that
kidnapped.
meant that you had to do it and you had to go through with it without killing him. What would you do?
He's picking you up at 7.
It's going to be a right truck.
If I would let a load of people die instead of go on a date with Lorne, is that the situation I'm in?
Yeah,
or
you
my
don't
child
have
was
don't have
kidnapped,
any choice.
and I either have to say
yeah,
goodbye.
you don't have any choice. You're trying to wriggle out of it, even hypothetically.
Well, why don't you do it? Why don't you go on a date?
Oh, I said it
okay,
first.
You can take my place.
We can guide you
Wait,
through
don't
this if you
forget,
want.
don't forget,
Okay, well,
don't forget,
if I
Amanda
had to,
James. In
what?
this scenario, he's not going to go on a date with a boy, is he?
Let's start with what you're both wearing. Okay, let's start with that. Let's guide it through this. You're probably just going to wear fat lady clothes or something, whatever, right?
I was just gonna say that.
And then
Okay, sorry about that. And what is he
change?
wearing? Actually, I'd like to hear Tiffany on this one too.
You know what he's wearing.
Yeah. He's going to wear his dress jeans.
His cleanest jeans. Okay.
His cleanest
He's
jeans.
going to
yeah.
he'll as soon as you see him, he'll be doing that pose like when he's got his arm over his head.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Sexy
let's
Lorne.
assume that he's learned his lesson from being made fun of for his dating attire for Kayla.
Why would we assume that?
Well, let's assume that he did. So he's gonna change it up a bit. So I'm assuming. Okay, let's put it this way: you're not a child, so he has to put some attention to it. What's he wearing? I'm thinking the dirty jeans. I'm thinking, doesn't he have a couple of button-down shirts too?
Yeah, he'll wear his best attire. Like in one of his videos, he had the button down. Yeah, the button down shirt that made him look like he was pregnant. He'll probably wear that.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is he wearing a hat?
Yeah.
Of course, he's wearing a hat.
He's
It's been
a hat.
glued to his head. He's wearing his steel-toe boots too, I bet.
Yeah, he's wearing his boots, not his sneakers.
Does he open the car door for you? His truck door for you?
No.
Okay.
He doesn't.
All
know how
right.
to
So
do
you're in, and what's it like in there?
And
Where are we?
In the truck?
You're in the truck heading for
I
dinner.
don't want to be in the truck.
I
just
you're
meet
still
him?
fighting it. Accept your fate, Amanda James. You're on a date with
scared.
Lorne.
I don't want to be.
Okay, you're as close to the window as you can get. All right, we could assume that, right?
Can I sit in the bed of the truck?
No.
All right.
He would be
So
okay.
it
all
smells
right.
like cigarettes, I'll bet.
Yes,
Yes.
of course. He would have a cigarette in each hand.
His ashtray is filled, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gross.
And
He's got
he's got a
Burger
rose
King wrappers and bags all over the truck. He had to clean off my seat before I could get in.
yeah,
And to scoop all the trash onto the floor.
He has to dust it off, all the
that's
ash.
a gentleman. Okay.
So many cigarette ashes, yeah. He's
And
So
pouring
where
it
you
in my
get-
face.
He holds your hand.
Okay.
No,
Let's say
he
that
doesn't.
let's say that part of Andrew's scenario is that you were given a gift certificate to, say, Mastro's or really good Smith and Walensky's. You're in a fancy place with it. What's going on?
Well, he wouldn't be able to get in.
So you got a problem at the door.
Yeah.
Okay.
He definitely wouldn't be able
No,
to
your
get
date
in.
would just be in some bar where you'd have to talk to him.
Well, yeah. Well, no.
Well, he would be terrified because he can't pay for it. So he would be panicking on his burn phone, calling his mom to lend him some money to pay for
We're
dinner.
beyond that. You got a gift certificate. Okay. So, and also.
Oh, so I have to pay with my gift certificate?
No.
course
We've
you
been
do.
given
Lorne's not
whatever
gonna
the
pay.
kidnappers gave you the gift certificate. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, and let's say that the manager was notified of your arrival, and he decided to put you in one of the separate function rooms so you're away from children. Okay, so you're in there. What's going on?
Well,
You're drinking
I
as much
wonder
as you
when
can, right?
No, absolutely not. I wouldn't have a single drop.
Why do you
I
not
would
trust
be
yourself
terrified.
around Lorne when you're losing control?
Yeah, that's it. No, I would be afraid of giving him any opportunity to take in any advantage. I'd be on my guard completely to make sure he keeps his distance. No drinking for me.
Okay. All
I
right.
wonder when he would start singing.
In the car. That's already happened.
Yeah.
Oh, of course,
Definitely.
yes. You're right.
Country-
You're
Do you
so
like country
right.
music, Amanda?
No, I don't.
Okay.
He likes 80s pop. So he'd be singing some Journey, Air Supply. Anything that would come on that radio station, he'd be singing it.
Be belting it out, coughing.
Coughing. Yeah.
What about the
singing.
conversation? I mean, what would that be like? Would you?
God.
Well, my conversation would be probably much like Tiffany's was. And I'd
No,
pull
you're not
up the
allowed to do
chatlog
that.
on my phone.
You're not
Well,
allowed to
can't
do
do
that's what I
that.
want to do.
Another condition is you have to keep conversation away from his misdemeanor. Nothing about NBC, nothing about this thing. It's all got to be about his life, apart from that, and yours as well. You've got to talk about what you'd normally talk about on a date.
I wouldn't normally date a person like Lorne, so there would be.
We're not
I
getting
don't know
anywhere
how
here,
to-
are we? It's like getting Lorne trying to
Well,
pass
what's the
rape
thing?
class.
Well, I
Yeah,
think it's
you know
a
what?
given
Okay, could I talk about rape class?
No,
So I
because
would
that's
probably use the. Oh, come on.
No,
I think it's a given that you wouldn't carry the conversation on this, Amanda. So he is.
I think
So
it's
what's
a
he-
given that
what's he
those
talking about
children
with-
would be in big trouble.
Yeah, I'd give
So-
up. Like, sorry guys, I tried. He would probably talk about his mom. Maybe he'd talk about his
Yep,
accomplishments. He is a published author,
Yeah.
and he would talk about his
Self-published though,
dreams.
does that count?
Well, he counts it,
Yeah, he counts it.
and he is a philanthropist because some of the proceeds went to Wounded Warrior Project. I'm sure he would tell me about that.
You can't
Yeah.
mock his voice when you're on your date either.
No, actually,
likes it.
he loves it. Yeah, that would not offend him at all.
He'd be like, "Oh, you think I'm cute?"
Yeah.
Oh,
So I
okay.
won't mock his voice because he'd
Yeah,
be tea
that is a
kettling
fake worse
and
than death.
Yeah,
Mhm.
tea kettling. Exactly.
squeaky excitement. I'm sure he would talk a lot about his dogs,
Yeah.
which is a lot like me. That's all I do anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
we could
There you
probably
go.
actually carry a
There you go.
conversation.
You got something in common.
common. That sounds nice.
Yeah, but I'd be like, how often do you have their nails cut, Lorne?
Oh, she would just. Oh man.
Do you know what, Shin? Let's
often
do
you
a
use your
crowdfunder to get this to happen.
Oh,
No.
God.
How-
And it has to be a fancy restaurant. I mean, it has to be,
do
I
I
don't
get
know.
to consent or not?
Oh no, your free will isn't in the equation here.
Of course,
Okay,
you
well.
realize that Major D required Lorne to take that hat off.
Yes,
for his job, so.
exactly. That's what I was
Mhm.
thinking too. You'd see the little peach fuzzies at the top sticking up.
I could picture walking into a nice restaurant. He would say something about like how fancy it is or how nice it is and how he's used to eating his mom's pie and not used to going to a place like that. Like some good old country boy shit.
And you know what? He would be laughing every single time. Everything he said, he would
Yep.
just laugh after
Like
it.
lulls.
Hmm
Yeah, lol.
It's the cough laugh.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want dessert, I assume.
Well,
If
I mean,
you're
if I'm there, I guess I
Okay,
might as well get
all
it. How many do you think he would get up to go smoke after every course, like
No,
after
I
the
don't think so.
appetizer?
No, I don't think he would get
No.
up, actually. I
Yeah,
think he'd probably stay.
yeah, and he'd wear his napkin on his shirt. So, okay.
And he'd have
Alright.
his headset in.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh jeez, he'd have that on the whole time, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would. Even when he's on top of her.
No.
Oh my God!
Oh, don't do that. You had to take it too far, didn't you, Tiffany? Don't do that to the
You
poor
said
girl.
you
I know,
wasn't
sorry
drinking.
about that. Sorry.
All right, so okay, so you
Tiffany.
get out of there. The bill's paid for, and you
Lorne
guys.
moves in for the kiss.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he would. I don't think he would. Well, maybe he would. Well,
Well,
I
not
don't
with
know. I'm
you,
not
I
a
mean.
13-year-old girl. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
good point. Good point.
Because he didn't even move in for the kiss with Kayla. He just sat there and mumbled, "I want to kiss first," and he didn't even dare to like look at her when he said it.
Yeah,
and no,
'cause
he,
that's
a
he wanted
point.
her to cross the room to do it.
Yeah, because
You know, rather than him go to her.
a few of the other predators moved in, didn't they?
Yeah. Travis Fowler did.
Yeah,
He
he
was
sure
like
did.
right after her, yeah.
Like a mummy.
I'd rather go on a date with Lorne than Travis Fowler, to be honest. He's scary.
Yeah, I right. I do agree
Yeah,
with
because
that.
you'd be able to handle Lorne. You'd have enough about you to be able to outwit him and keep him where he needed to be.
Yeah.
But with him, he's more dangerous, isn't he?
And I think we're the same height too. Travis has
Yes.
is a lot taller than me. Lauren's
Just-
the same height.
Mhm.
Just don't invite him in for coffee, or weak coffee.
No.
You don't wanna
Yeah,
do
no matter
that.
how much you
Don't
want
worry.
to.
Yeah. No matter how much-
To control myself.
Kids are asleep. Kids, I
I
can't. Do
can't.
that.
I know. I have children in my house. I can't
Yeah.
anyway, even if I wanted to. He'd
So
have to
what
call
you're
his probation
saying-
officer.
What you're saying is that if he went in for the lean in, you would
Yeah.
turn your head.
Turn
Is
my
that what
head.
you're
I can't.
saying?
It's just turn it just slightly. No,
Yeah.
just slightly.
No, I don't kiss on the first date. Never mind. Lean. I mean, I think you can make it pretty clear with body language and with actual language that they should not expect to be able to kiss you. So even as delusional as Lorne is, I don't think he would get the idea that I would be receptive to that. I don't know why I got picked for this exercise.
Because you're the best one.
Yes.
Yes. If you remember, I did this because you hate Lorne so much. That's why I suggested that you'd have to go on a date with him, because it'd be fucking hilarious. Like, it'd be hilarious in any
Would be
scenario.
worse.
Screamed at him that he was a pedophile.
You're not
That's
allowed
all
to
you
do
do.
that.
You filthy pervert. Eat
That's
your
not a
steak,
good
you
start for a
fucking
date,
pervert.
that, is it?
I'm saying my hatred for him pales in comparison to Tiffany. She's yelled at him. She's
How do
pointed
you
out
know?
all his-
How do you
his-
know you wouldn't have done worse? She was quite
Yeah.
restrained, if you think about it.
Yeah,
She
I
only
probably
really
would've,
called him a
yeah.
derogatory term a couple of times, but you wouldn't even be able to get past 5
No,
minutes
not a couple
before
times.
you started.
Like every time.
No, but what I mean is she tried to sort of get him to see. She took it through him bit by bit in a respectful way and tried to get him to, see the cut through the bullshit. I'm not sure you'd even be able to get that far without you basically calling him a complete whatever he is.
Yeah, he would definitely. Or we can do we could put a twist on this story. Like suddenly, boom, you black out. You
I black
slowly
out?
wake up. You slowly wake up in the morning and you smell a dog next to you. As you open your eyes, you can hear him singing as he's shaving.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
And
What
then he
do
walks
you
out-
do? What
he
do
walks out
you do?
wearing your
He
bathrobe.
No, he walks out naked in a
Right.
pair of a pair of slippers with his headset on.
With his headset on, exactly.
Well, he comes back. Okay,
Slippers in his head.
you know,
I've got that image in my fucking head now.
Well, he comes back in with shaving cream on himself, and he says, "Yep, yeah, don't worry. Nothing happened last night. I slept on the couch. I was going to be a gentleman. You're sleeping in the bed, so just hang in there. I'll be right with you." And he goes back in the bathroom. What do you do? Get the fuck out of there!
Call the
Right?
police, right?
Go to the emergency room.
Exactly.
I'd cry, go sit in my car and weep. I don't know.
He's
I would
running
probably
a
call the
tower for you,
police.
so. Oh,
I'm
So
in his
good-
trailer. I'm so far away.
yeah, it could have been worse.
I don't think it could.
Wow, that
But
sounds like a
Lorne would
terrible
never.
night.
Yeah, he would never sleep on the couch. He doesn't understand the idea of consent, I'm sure.
No.
I'm sure he doesn't
All
understand
right,
that
he
a
didn't
woman
sleep on
can
the
be too
couch.
drunk.
He didn't have sex with you, but he spooned with you all night. You just don't
Oh,
know.
come
He's got
on.
pictures. He's got pictures and everything. So, oh
Oh
shit.
my
There was
Ew.
a story he told one time about a woman. I think Roy might have been there too. So I don't know if this was a friend of his or where she came in. It was probably made up. I have no idea. But there was something about a woman being too drunk and he did not have sex with her because of that.
Yeah, who was that? It sounds familiar.
I don't know. I have no idea who it
I think he's a
was.
liar.
No, he absolutely is a liar for sure. But I believe there was some kind of a story.
Wait a minute, was she passed out or just like drunk and horny?
I think maybe she was passing out.
And he thought
I
that
don't
was
know.
an opportunity to have sex with her.
No, he was saying he wasn't going to because she was too drunk. Like
But
she was going to be staying at his place, but nothing was going to happen because she was too drunk.
Huh.
Hmm.
That's just something that's hard for me to picture.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because also Lorne is not one to restrain himself when it comes to alcohol. He'll just keep drinking.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not exactly going to be, you know, thinking in any kind of a way that's going to stop him from doing anything.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's already admitted he's never had a girlfriend, right? Yeah. He said
Pretty much.
I mean, I've heard that in a couple of different ways.
Yeah.
That he said that.
That's the thing. There are in a couple of different ways. You have to sort of work your way around what he's saying to figure it out exactly.
Well, he said there was Paula, but they were working towards a relationship.
Yeah.
Then I heard he slept with her. He didn't sleep with her. Which one was it? What is he claiming?
Allegedly, he did.
He did.
One time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But only one time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And that's
to
all
me,
it took. He
it's
loved her.
It's just hard to fathom that if Lorne actually slept with a woman, that he would let her go. I mean,
nobody never lets anybody
regardless
go.
Of what,
willfully.
Yeah,
no matter how young
let
he
her
was.
go. He still cries about her. He hasn't let her go. He still cries about her and how
No,
how
I'm
much
talking
it
about
bothered him.
these one night stands that he alleges. You know.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't think they happened.
I mean,
No.
it's just hard for me to believe that he would just let that go or even forget their name.
Right.
It just goes so against his character. He said to you, Tiffany, actually, that because you said, well, you've never even had a girlfriend, and he said, no, but I've had a lot of one night stands.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said they wanted more than a one night stand.
Right,
I'm the one who
bullshit
didn't
then,
want
don't
it.
we?
That is such
Definitely.
bullshit. That is completely against his entire character. He is such a clingy, needy motherfucker. There's no way.
There's no way.
Dismiss a woman.
No.
Yeah, no.
No. That's why I'm thinking if he wasn't a virgin, then Paula would be the closest thing I think that could have happened.
Me too. That's where mind is with it. My mind is
No,
with it too.
this
Yep.
one night stand bullshit is, I don't believe it. I mean,
Definitely.
you know, it's lucky enough for a guy to be able to score, you know, in one night stand. He's making it sound like he was doing it serially.
Yeah, because
He
he's not got enough in his locker to do it. He just
no. But I think if he's had sex before, it had to have been Paula.
I agree with that.
It's
a fascinating subject because if he had all these one night stands, he would have names and details. He would have these women, they're everything committed to memory because he's so obsessive and that like intimacy and feeling like somebody wants him is like the most important thing in the world to him.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way.
I agree. I think we can all agree on that. And speaking of obsessive, we've done an hour and not even moved a page. We've covered.
Oh my god!
We've covered 2 sentences.
Well, wait a minute. How far is
you
this?
guys attacked me with this date. we were supposed to be reading the chat log, and instead we're taking down a nightmare path of poor Amanda James has to go on a date with Lorne to save a village of children.
You had a go at Lorne consistently throughout this whole video and the previous streams that I ballsed up, so you got your just desserts as far as I'm concerned. A nightmarish,
well, I guess I'm gonna be nice.
A nightmarish hypothetical date. You couldn't even handle the fucking just the thought of it.
So is that my punishment?
You think we're equal?
You got a nice
Lorne?
steak dinner out of it. Come on, Andrew. We can't finish this day. Look, it's just like a minute and a half away.
Yeah, but dude, how long does it took us to do 2 cents?